Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about Episode 5 of The Walking Dead Season 2.
Yeah, a good one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so jumping in. The birth of Rebecca's son and subsequent death of the baby's mother has started a new battle for survival which promises to not end quietly. Through the harshest weather she has seen thus far, can Clementine protect the group's newest member and keep everyone she cares about alive?
All right, so we pick up right where we left last time, which is in the middle of Red Dawn. There's a gun battle going on with the mystery Russians. And you actually get your first choice of the game very quickly. Clementine sits up and is kind of dazed and is looking around, seeing people yelling at each other, shooting at each other. Arvo's sister is dead on the ground and he's crying next to her. It's a pretty intense scene, and you notice that the baby has fallen out of Rebecca's arms. So after you shot Rebecca, she dropped the baby, and so the baby's laying on the ground kind of in the middle of a gun battle.
Yeah, not good for a baby, I assume.
Yeah, probably not the best place for a baby. And so you have the choice. Do you either run and protect the baby, or do you just duck for cover and figure it out yourself? So what did you do?
I ended up protecting the baby. It just seemed like the right call in the moment. Why would you hide if there's a baby in the middle of a gun battle with Russians? It just... To me, anyone would do that, So that's what I did.
Yeah, exact same thought. I was almost surprised it was a choice. But 59% of people did it, so still 41% didn't. So that's kind of
41% of people are just terrible.
Yeah, say meh. I don't need a baby.
Yeah, let it die. It's cool. I'm just embracing the apocalypse at this point. No babies allowed. You're a terrible person.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the thought pattern would be there. Callum on Twitter wrote in though and said, "I rescued the baby."
Lauren on Twitter said, "Always save the baby." I agree.
Yep. Larry on Twitter said, "Rescued the baby."
Ranvijay on Reddit said, "I protected the baby."
Lil Sniper on Reddit said, "I protected the baby."
I like that name.
Yeah, I thought it was a good name too.
Yeah. Dead Scorpion on Reddit said, "I protected the baby."
SJD on Reddit said, "I protected the baby."
And Mamita Lusa on Reddit said, "I did protect AJ." So looks like everyone did the same thing, at least that responded.
Yeah. I'm surprised that everyone did it, but it's still 60-40. That's pretty surprising. But
yeah, I feel like most of our listeners probably are normal people and not just savages. So
that must be it.
The population that didn't rescue the baby is probably living in Russia, and they're just pissed that they lost the gun battle.
It's just Arvo. He's just played this game over and over, and it's nope.
Yeah, he's the 41%, just him.
Him.
The voice actor.
Yeah,
he's fuck that baby.
Mm-hmm. Over and over. So, rescue the baby, and Luke then tries to join you. You're on, you're behind a brick wall, and he's behind another brick wall, and there's a gap between the two of you. And he's like, "Hey, cover me, I'm going to try to get to you." And he tries to, but he gets shot in the leg on his way there.
Yep.
So, I think if you don't rescue the baby, Luke sees the baby, and so instead of him trying to come to you, he gets the baby but gets shot in the leg doing it. So, Luke gets shot in the leg either way. During the chaos, Kenny goes and grabs Arvo as a hostage to try to get the Russian to surrender. And the Russian is getting ready to shoot Kenny anyway, and Jane sneaks up on the Russian and kills him with a knife. After this, the Russians are all dead except Arvo, and Kenny starts beating Arvo and wants to kill him. He's
pissed, yeah.
He's pissed. This is his fault. We should just kill him. But Mike and Luke stop Kenny from doing this, and in kind of this ruckus, Arvo says, "I have a safe place. There's food here. I can take you there." And so the group kind of argues about what to do. Some people say it's a trap, like Kenny was in that group, kind of camp, it's a trap. Other people are like, well, we shouldn't kill him, and also he could take us to this good thing. And then, for me at least, as Clementine, I was like, well, we don't have food, so we might as well trust him for this. I don't trust him as a person. I don't think he's good, but, like, we do need food. So I guess if he can answer that, that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, to me it seems like either you die of starvation in the cold, or you die in a trap. Like, I feel like I'd rather die in a trap, personally.
Yeah, that's true. If there is a trap, it's worth the risk if there's food on the other side even, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, at this point, we ultimately decide to spare Arvo. He is going to take us to this spot. And the group is afraid of Kenny at this point. They're like, he snapped, he, like, beat this dude. And they're really concerned about him. And they're like, he's unstable, Clementine. You're the only one he trusts. That sort of stuff. As they're like, I think Jane is the one talking to us about this at this point. And as that's kind of going on, Kenny is, continually being harsh with Arvo, pushing him, hitting him, stuff like that.
Yeah, he's pretty brutal, for sure.
Yeah. And I felt like as I was playing, I was like, Kenny's being an asshole and he doesn't need to be doing this, for sure. But also, like, these guys tried to rob you. Like, I don't know. I don't have any sympathy for Arvo in this situation, really. It's like, I don't know. We could have just killed you. I don't like in the apocalypse. Like, obviously in real life you don't like kill your prisoners, but in like the zombie apocalypse, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I think you'd keep him alive is for the promise of food. Other than that, I would probably just kill him personally.
Yeah, that's what I would kind of think you'd do, or almost like, fine, you get us to wherever you say it is. We're just gonna cap you there, kind of thing. Like, I'm sort of surprised that the group doesn't seem to have an attitude like that. Instead, like, the attitude seems to be like, well, I mean, he's just a kid, so we should be nice. It's like, he's just a kid who tried to rob us. I don't fucking care who he is. Like,
yeah, he's not just a kid. There's no way.
Yeah, like, yeah. So I didn't really like that the group was so, I don't know, wanting to be peaceable or something with their prisoner. It's like, you guys were, like, captured by Carver, like, 3 days ago. Like, come on. Like, you know what the world's like.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? I agree.
Yeah, so I thought that was a little weird. I didn't, didn't totally love that. Because, it was used to make Kenny seem more unreasonable than he was, which he was unreasonable, but I felt like it kind of overemphasized it. Like, Kenny was being really antagonistic and, like, brutal, but it's like, it's not like he's doing that to the people in the group. It's a guy who tried to kill the group just before this. Like,
yeah, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But anyway, we have these conversations with the group. They're concerned. And so they send us over to talk with Kenny. And we need to change Kenny's bandage on his
Kenny.
Kenny. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's South Park now.
Yeah, I know. Yikes. We need to change his bandage because his eye is getting gross. And we do that. We're talking with him, and Kenny expresses some regrets about his family, that he didn't, like, prepare them for the apocalypse. He didn't know. But things will be different for this baby. Ultimately, together you decide that Alvin Jr. is a great name for the baby, that Rebecca and Alvin would have liked that. And I would say, all in all, is kind of a nice interaction with Kenny.
Yep, I agree. It seems like it balances out all of his crazy and extreme in this episode with, like, you get, like, moments like this, I think, throughout the episode where Kenny and you are, like, cool and he's normal and honest and soft, but then you see him crazy when things are kind of going crazy.
Yep. So, decent. From here, the group continues walking, and they ultimately stop at an old power station for the night that's got some tall fences. And they're pissed that they've been walking for quite a while. Arvo said the place was closed and they've been walking for hours. So, Arvo lied intentionally or unintentionally, but he wasn't right either way. And it's like, had them walk long enough that they had to stop for the night.
Yep.
That night, they sit around the fire. One of them has a bottle of rum, and they are talking, the group together, but Jane and Kenny both kind of go off. They don't sit with the group. Kenny stands watch, kind of, and Jane just doesn't want to be around people like she normally is, so she's off too. So you get the chance to go talk to them. I go and talk with Kenny, and Kenny ends up apologizing for what happened earlier. You know, like, sorry I got upset with you about Sarita. That wasn't your fault. You did the best you could. It was a bad situation. I just was so broken in that moment, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sad.
Time.
Yeah, sad about just everyone he's lost, and is, you know, pretty beat up on it, and he wants AJ to have a better life, kind of thing. And so you're again just getting this sort of theme of like, Kenny has something new to live for, which I think is good for him, but yeah, sort of struggling with. It's been a big shit show since we've ever met him, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then we go talk with Jane, and we end up convincing her to go hang out with the group. She does. With me also, for Kenny, I didn't push him to stay with the group. I let him have his own time.
I did push him.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did he come sit with the group then?
Yeah, he eventually did. Yeah. To me, it seemed like the best option. People are kind of afraid of him. He's kind of at odds with everyone. It's like the conversation around the fire ended up being pretty cool and normal. So it was like, you should probably be here. That was my thought, at least.
Yeah, that's cool. What does Kenny like chime into the group's conversation?
Not a whole lot. I mean, he kind of sits there, but
okay.
He's around, which is nice.
Okay. That's cool. I like gave him his space kind of thing. Like when I talked with him, it was kind of, okay, cool. I see you could kind of use your space, but I'm glad you're doing okay. Like, thanks for whatever, apologizing, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
After all of this, Mike ends up going over to Arvo to try to offer him some rum. Arvo like screams and is being crazy, and Kenny runs over and knocks him out.
Well, that didn't happen in my playthrough.
Oh,
he
really?
Just ignored him. Yeah.
Really? Oh. In mine, Kenny runs over and knocks him out. And everyone's like, Kenny, why'd you do that? He was like, he was screaming. I didn't know if he was escaping or something.
And attracting walkers, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Like.
So, yeah, my Kenny went and knocked him out.
Yeah, my Kenny ignored him because he was by the fire, I assume.
Yeah, I wonder if he was like pacified more or something. So, the next morning they continue walking, and the group sees an unfinished home across a frozen lake. And Arvo's like, "That's the spot. There's food there." And they're like, "What the hell? Like your base is a not finished house? What the hell?" Like,
yeah, it's like, you're lying.
Yeah, the group was pretty disappointed. Which I don't know if it's a good. I mean, because it's cold, it's not a good hideout. But maybe it is a good hideout, not in the cold, because people won't like try to scavenge there.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But the group decides to cross the frozen ice. Arvo says it will hold, and the group is not sure, but they decide to do it. And they're like, okay, let's just spread out as much as we can so that, you know, there's not too much weight on the ice as we go. So far, so good. But while they're, I don't know, maybe halfway across, a lot of walkers start to show up and follow them onto the ice too. And the group's getting concerned. The ice is getting more weight on it. You see like a walker fall through the ice. And yeah, danger is incoming.
Mm-hmm. And then this kind of brings up the second decision, big decision of the episode. So at this point too, Luke is like kind of in the back of the pack, and the ice around him like cracks a bunch, and he's kind of like, oh shit. And then walkers are kind of coming up behind him, so you kind of have this choice where Bonnie's like, we need to save him, and Luke's like, no, don't come any closer, the ice will break, I can do it myself. So you kind of have to choose, do I shoot the walkers that are getting near Luke, or do I try to walk towards Luke and save him? Mm-hmm. So what did you do here?
I chose to shoot at the walkers. I felt like I was like, okay, I think Luke probably knows what's best with the ice that he's around, kind of thing. Yeah, I could take out the walkers, so at least he doesn't have to be as fast, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I mean, like, just simple physics. If more weight's on the ice, it will break. So I don't know how I would help him by getting closer to him. I feel like it would make the ice break faster. So to me, it was like, yeah, shoot the walker. So he's, yeah, like you said, got more time to slowly escape off the broken ice.
Right. I would think that he could almost like time his steps or something a little easier if he's not feeling like walkers are right behind me. Like, I don't want to get bit, so I've got to like... And since his legs hurt, he's got to like hobble. He's not even like walking normal, kind of thing. So I was like, well, if I can buy him some time, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and he could have just like laid down even and like spread his weight out even more. But if walkers are behind you, you can't really lay down. You're gonna get eaten because you're slow,
right?
And vulnerable. Yeah. So 67% of people did not try to help Luke, so they did what we did, and then 33%. Did try to help him.
Yep. Chris on Twitter wrote in and said, I decided to save him, so he tried to save him.
Yeah, tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amita Lusa on Reddit said, yeah, I thought that would have had more of a chance at pulling him out of the lake than Bonnie. So I guess she's referring to the fact that if you don't try to help Luke, Bonnie will.
Yep. SJD on Reddit said, I tried to save Luke, so also...
Mm-hmm. Dead Scorpion on Reddit said, I did not try to save Luke.
Lil Sniper on Reddit said, I tried to save Luke. In the moment, I figured no matter what, either Clem or Bonnie were going to try to help him, so I chose lighter weight. Which
good point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Then Ramvijay on Reddit said, I tried to save Luke. So most everyone tried to save Luke, at least from our responders there.
Which is kind of surprising. They're the opposite of the stats.
Yeah,
so kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess the result of this, I think any way it goes, Luke dies, he drowns. In my playthrough, Bonnie survived, but Luke did not survive. Because Bonnie goes and tries to rescue him, and she falls to the ice too, at least in my playthrough. And then I was able to, like, almost save Luke, but then he was drowned and Bonnie got out herself of the water. I don't know how yours went, but that's how mine went.
Were you able to like break the ice and that's how Bonnie got out?
She didn't get out. Yeah, I broke the ice, but I think she got out on her own a different way. Like maybe the way she fell in. I can't remember.
Interesting.
But I definitely broke the ice, and it definitely saved her. Sorry, it's been a while, but yeah, I broke the ice, saved her, but Luke was already drowned by the time I broke the ice, unfortunately.
Okay. For mine, I didn't try to break the ice because the group was like, it's too late. So I could see Luke through the ice, but I didn't break it. Like I hit it a couple times, but it wasn't breaking like right away. And the group was like, it's too late. Like it's already gone. And so I didn't do it. And so Bonnie and Luke died for me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, Bonnie sucks, so that's fine.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought. Because I remember her sucking in the past. So her dying, I was like, oh, okay. I don't hate this, I guess. I guess what happens, though, if you jump into the water is you try to get in and... or not you jump into the water, but the ice breaks when you go. Luke sees you, and there's a part where you like see Luke get dragged down by walkers into the water and drown that way. So,
oh man,
yeah, it sounds pretty brutal. I mean, I felt really bad like seeing him in the ice and not being able to get to him. That felt pretty bad.
Yeah, that's rough.
yeah, super rough. So R.I.P. Luke. Also R.I.P. Bonnie for me, I guess, but not for you. So, at the house, Kenny says this is Arvo's fault and beats him more. And also during the commotion of like Luke falling through and stuff like that, Arvo tried to run away. He tried to like sneak off. in this. And Connie Kenny's pissed, calls him a commie, like stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, beating Arvo up. Mike intervenes though and won't let him do it, which is kind of the vibe that's been going on this whole episode. Is Kenny's harsh with Arvo. Mike intervenes and tries to treat Arvo like a member of the group, sort of.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I get not beating him to death, but he's not a member of the group. Fuck him.
Yeah, I agree. After this, Clementine goes out back to help Kenny work on a truck that's out back. Kenny's thinking he can repair it, and, if they could actually drive, that could be huge for them getting somewhere safe. And Kenny expresses that he doesn't trust Jane at this point. He says, she's only out for herself. She's not one of us. I tried to kind of be neutral. I was like, well, she did come back. Like, I don't know if I like her, but she did come back, kind of thing.
Yeah, that was my approach too. I don't want to stir the pot more. But yeah, I also don't trust her.
Right. Then after this, Clementine goes back inside with Jane and talks with Jane, who says Kenny's a liability. So again, still that kind of going is, he's unhinged. Look how he's treating Arvo. He would have killed him. And I'm like, again, as we've been saying, I'm like, big deal. Whatever. Like, we really don't need Arvo anymore. Like, we don't have to... I don't feel like we have to keep him alive at this point if we didn't want to. I don't think we have to kill him, but I don't think we have to keep him alive either, necessarily.
Yeah.
But Kenny gets the truck working, and he says he wants to go north towards Wellington. So this has been Kenny's kind of dream. Wellington will be safe. The rest of the group says, no, we should go south. It's too cold. We can't deal with this. Maybe we could go back to Howe's and try to rebuild what's there for a little while. Use that as kind of a safe place to kind of start off, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And the group also, at this point, disagrees about what to do with Arvo. Kenny says, let's just leave him here. He's not one of us. But then the group's like, no, we should bring him with us. We can't just leave him. That would be sentencing him to death. And Kenny's like, he doesn't deserve anything else. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Which I felt like for me too. I'm like, shit, if you left him at that house and tied him up shittily and we're like, hey, you're not tied up very well. You'll be able to leave once we're gone. And we left you a knife and some food. I feel like that would be more than plenty fine. More than he deserves, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, hey, you can survive maybe, but you're going to have to work for it. I don't know. That's how I kind of felt with that. But the group ultimately can't really decide what to do, where to go, or what to do with Arvo. So they say, let's sleep. In the morning, we'll deal with this. So everyone goes to bed, and while we're all asleep, Clementine hears noise outside and goes out to investigate. And she gets out there, and she sees Mike and Arvo trying to steal the truck.
And my playthrough, Bonnie was there too.
Okay, and Bonnie's with them too. Okay. And you have the option to pull your gun out, which is definitely what I did.
Yep, me too. You're not gonna fucking steal from us.
Yeah, not gonna steal from us. And in this, you have the option to ask to leave with Mike, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, pretty shocking to me. But 19% of people did choose to ask to leave with Mike. 81% of people did not, including both of us. Instead, we drew our gun and we're like, you're not stealing this car, this truck. No fucking way.
I feel like this doesn't even need a discussion, to be honest. I'm not going to leave Kenny. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, not going to happen. Not going to leave Kenny, not going to leave Jane. You're not going to ditch the group. No, not happening at all. So you have the option to yell for Kenny and Jane, and that will unfold in a moment.
Yeah.
But Ron VJ on Reddit said, didn't ask to leave with Mike. I called for Kenny instead.
Dead Scorpion on Reddit said, I didn't ask to leave with Mike.
Little Sniper on Reddit said, I didn't ask to leave with Mike.
SJD on Reddit said I didn't ask to leave with Mike.
And Mamita Lusa on Reddit said, no, I didn't ask to leave with them.
So unanimous there, yeah.
Yeah, unanimous. I'm shocked that this one's a decision also, actually, to be honest. Like, I just can't imagine being like, nah, I'm going to ditch the group. Like, that's just not how I've played Clementine ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. But I could see if some people are like fed up with Kenny and Jane, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I could see that, and just my experience hasn't been that ever. So, like, maybe if you were someone who didn't like Kenny in season 1 and you still don't like him now, kind of thing, I could maybe see that. But
yeah, totally.
But so we call for Kenny, and Arvo pulls out a gun and shoots Clementine in the shoulder, which, I was so mad.
Yeah, Arvo sucks. Like, bro, we should have had Kenny kill you a while ago.
Right, yeah. We should have had Kenny kill you a long time ago. Yeah, bullshit. And after Clementine's shot, you get a flashback to season 1, where you are in the RV talking with Lee. And it's after Doug or Carly got shot by Lily back then. And I forgot all about this flashback, so this was really nice.
Yeah, throwback to Lee. It's great.
Yeah, really great. You're getting to talk with Lee about, like, surviving and making choices and, like, basically, like, doing the right thing isn't always easy. Sometimes you have to do things that are harsh. Like, in mine, it talked about how he kicked Lily out of the group for shooting Carly or Doug.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, same with mine. I forget who he shot, but it was the same.
Yeah, I forget which one mine said too, because I can't remember if I switched it. I know the first time we played, I chose Doug, but I can't remember if I switched it the next time around. But
Hey, sorry, one sec. All right, I'm back.
Cool.
Sorry about that. She was whining. You can probably hear it.
Yeah, I did. No worries. But yeah, you get this flashback. Lee basically, like, I don't know, almost gets to give Clementine some advice. That sort of stuff. It was a good flashback for sure.
Definitely.
From here, Clementine wakes up in the present, and she's in the backseat of the truck with Kenny and Jane and AJ. Kenny and Jane are talking. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Clementine, you're up. Good. Good news. The bullet went through. Like, you don't have a bullet in you. It went through your shoulder. It doesn't look like it hit anything important." And we find out that Arvo and Mike and Bonnie for you ran off in foot after Arvo shot Clementine. So it's good we still have the truck. But yeah, those people are just gone, which sort of sucks.
They're shitty. So
no,
yeah.
I wish Kenny would have just said I shot them all. Like,
yeah, that'd been way better.
I would have been like, cool, good, they deserved it, kind of thing. But after you get these little updates, Kenny and Jane start to argue. Their relationship, of course, is continuing to fracture as things get more intense, and they're really pushing each other's buttons. Like, Jane's really trying to rile Kenny up. Like, you know, you were bad at having a family, that's why you're in this situation now, or like things like that.
Yeah,
like
she's so mean. Like, this was the tipping point for me, where it's like, all right, Jane, you're not even making a point. You're just being a fucking dick.
Yeah, she's just antagonizing to do it. And Kenny is like, you know, ramping up to her threats. It's like he's being antagonized, and then he's acting how she wants him to, which is like more violent, and so she can be like, "Look, Clem, he's out of control." That's sort of what's getting set up here, and they nearly run into a pileup of cars while they're arguing, but they manage to stop the car before that. And Kenny gets out and is like, "Well, we need gas anyway, so I'm going to try and siphon some from one of these cars. You guys stay in here." While we're inside the car, Jane says, "We should just ditch Kenny right now. Let's take the car and go." And I say, no.
Yeah.
No way.
You're crazy.
Yeah. Really went against that. Meanwhile, though, a snowstorm starts to begin, and walkers start to approach. And Kenny and Jane get split up kind of in this. We try to drive the car for a second and run into a walker and have to escape out of the car from a walker. We get split up, and Clementine ends up making her way to the rest stop that's nearby. She gets inside. Kenny's there, but Jane is not. And Kenny asks, "Where's AJ?" And we say, "Jane has him." I don't know where Jane is, though. We got split up when the walkers came. And we see Jane approach, looking really distraught, and she doesn't have AJ. Kenny runs out past Jane to look for AJ, like, terrified. Like, where's AJ? What's going on?
Yeah, not good.
And after Kenny walks out, Jane changes her demeanor and is like, "Clementine, stay out of what's to come. I need you to see this, but stay out of it. Promise me you'll stay out." And so, you're tipped off and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Kenny comes back in and he says, "Fuck you, Jane. You killed AJ. You're a bad person. I'm going to kill you now." And Jane says, "It was an accident. I didn't mean for this to happen." And a fight ensues. They are punching each other. Jane pulls a knife, and they're like slashing at each other. It's a pretty intense fight.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then this is kind of the last crazy big climax decision you have to make. Throughout, like, the fight ensues. Jane pulls out a knife, and eventually Kenny gets it and gets, like, on top of her and is, like, about to, like, stab her in the chest. Like, slowly, going down. She's trying to fight back, but can't do it because Kenny's stronger. And you have a gun. You find a gun. So you're like, you have to make a decision. Do I shoot Kenny to save Jane, or do I just let it happen and let Kenny kill Jane? Because you can try to stop him, but it doesn't do anything. So you have to shoot or wait.
Yep.
So what did you do?
I didn't shoot Kenny. I think just knowing Jane was antagonizing all of this, I was like, you kind of deserve what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, that's fair. That was my thought too. Especially because, like, did you literally just sacrifice this baby to make Kenny angry to prove a point to me? Like, you should get killed. Sorry. Right. You don't really deserve more than that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was like, I was surprised, like, going through this, actually, and how much I was like, I don't even think I grabbed the gun, or if I did, I didn't even move it. I was like, no, like, you caused this. Like, Kenny wasn't going to try to kill you if you wouldn't have done like, created this situation, like, I don't know. It seems like you got what was coming to you.
Yeah, for sure. I did the same thing. I did not shoot Kenny for those reasons. Crazy decision, though.
Yeah.
To let Jane die or kill Kenny, like, it's pretty difficult, which makes sense. So 49% of people didn't shoot Kenny, and 51% of people did shoot Kenny. So very, very split.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I think this decision is really polarizing for people, which is good. I think that shows it's a good decision. Like, good job by Telltale for it.
Oh yeah, definitely great.
Yeah. Alyssa on Twitter wrote in and said, "No, never. Not that I condone everything Kenny did, but I couldn't do it." So same as us.
Yep. Christopher on Twitter said, "Yes, and by the time I didn't regret it, he was out of control."
Fair.
Yeah, he was kind of crazy at that point.
Yeah. Chris on Twitter said, "I gave him a merciful death."
Skirps on Twitter said, "Nope, was always on his side, so glad I made that decision."
Tyler on Twitter said, "I actually did, partly because I felt that he had almost been kind of trying to get himself killed all season just so he could stop hurting and be with his family." Which... That kind of makes sense. I could see that as, like, where Kenny's recklessness is sort of from.
Yeah, very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Katie on Twitter said, I did. I just felt he was a loose cannon and didn't want to listen to anybody else's advice.
Mamita Lusa on Reddit says, no, I didn't.
SJD on Reddit said, I didn't shoot Kenny.
Dead Scorpion on Reddit said, I looked away.
Little Sniper on Reddit said, I looked away.
And Ron VJ on Reddit said, I looked away. So, kind of split, actually. So, that's cool, seeing people's different, reactions to this.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty good consensus there, 50-50 about.
Yeah. I think what happens, so if you do shoot Kenny, what happens is you shoot him in the back and he, falls down, and then you, finish him off. But when you talk to him, he's like, thanks for doing this, Clementine. I am out of control. He kind of has that recognition moment if you do shoot him, which is interesting.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It seems pretty wild. Just that he would kind of have that and be like, thanks, Clementine. It's time for me to go, sort of thing.
He's lost, he thinks he's lost everything. No
right.
more baby, no more purpose. So, it makes sense he would kind of respond like that.
Right. But for us, since we let him kill Jane is stabbed, and then in the distance we hear a baby crying. And Kenny's like, is that AJ? Clem, go find him. And we go and we find that AJ was put into a car. So Jane had hidden AJ to provoke Kenny to cause this situation to happen. And AJ is okay.
Yeah, you're like, all right, you deserve to get stabbed for sure.
Yeah, I feel like after that, you're like, okay, yeah, you just provoked Kenny. Nothing was wrong. You just wanted the fight, and you got a fight you couldn't win, which you probably didn't expect. I assume Jane thought she'd kill Kenny and it would be fine. So,
yep, unfortunate for her, she was wrong.
Yeah, she was wrong. So from here, the game fast forwards 9 days, and you have a variety of epilogues. So I guess I'll say each of them, and then we can talk about ours for a minute, and then go from there, I guess. So the way the game goes is, so based on the decision before this, there are endings that involve being with Kenny, there are endings that involve being with Jane, and there are endings where you can be alone. I think something you can do, maybe, is let Jane get stabbed, but then you might be able to shoot Kenny right afterwards.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, or, you can let Jane get killed and then say, Kenny, I can't be with you anymore, and leave. Or do the opposite and let you shoot Kenny and then tell Jane, I'm not being with you anymore, you're bad also. So I think there's kind of a few ways this sort of can play out. But for the Jane endings, there are two primary ones. There's one where it's just you're with AJ and Jane. 10% of people got this, and you just go back to Hal's and you post up there again and kind of try to regroup there. And then there is another one that is very similar to that. You're with Jane and AJ, but a family shows up, and you can choose to let them crash with you too, that you welcome them in. But the family is shown to be nefarious, kind of. One of them has a gun hidden behind their back, and so it's kind of a dun 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 as that.
Yeah.
As it ends. Or if you reject them, so it's just you and Jane, you'll be like, I saw the gun, and Jane will be like, oh, good job noticing that, kind of thing. But 21% of people are with AJ, Jane, and the family. Then you have 26% of people who are just alone with AJ. So for this one, you end up kind of putting the stench coat back on, and you and AJ just walk through a herd of walkers together. So
it seems kind of dangerous for the little baby.
Yeah.
They'd probably just start crying, and then that's that.
Yeah, kind of crazy. And then the last ones are with Kenny. And so what happens for this one is Kenny and Clementine are walking together up a hill because Wellington is close. And they get to the top of the hill, and they see this great fortified structure, big walls. It's Wellington. It's real. They found it. And they get up there. They make it to the gate, and there's a guard up top. And they find out that, yes, this is Wellington. But unfortunately, Wellington is at capacity. They can't take anyone else. They can't spare the space, the food, the resources to be able to pull this off. And so they throw a duffel bag of stuff out and say, hey, we're sorry we can't help you right now. Here's some stuff. If you can come back in a few months, we might be able to let you in then. But right now, things are just too tight. And you get a quote from Kenny I really like, so I'm going to read it for us. And Kenny says, just take the kids, please. Just take the kids. It's too dangerous out here for them. It's just a little girl and a baby boy. You can make room for that. You can take back the supplies you gave us if it helps, please. Just, I need them to be safe. And it's safe in there. I know that. Just ask someone, please. They won't make it out here. Please. And so Kenny kind of throws it to them. Please find a way. Like, I don't have to stay with them, but please keep the kids safe. That will be enough. And Clementine is caught off guard by this, Kenny, I'm with you, kind of thing. And it gives you your kind of last decision that we had, which is either to go with AJ. The guard comes back and says, yes, her name's Edith. Yes, we can take the kids, but just the kids. Which Kenny's very grateful for. And is like, yes, please, just do this. But as Clementine, we get a final decision. Do we go into Wellington with AJ and leave Kenny behind? Or do we say, no, we're not going into Wellington without you, Kenny, and leave with Kenny? And we did the same thing.
Yep.
We parted ways with Kenny at this point. We went into Wellington, and I feel like gave Kenny what he wanted. And so we went into Wellington. 22% of people did that. 21% of people said no thanks and just stayed with Kenny, and we all left together. So why did you choose to do this?
Yeah, I was pretty torn, but it seemed like the thing that Kenny wanted the most was for us and AJ to be safe, and this was the only way that would actually happen. So as shitty as it was to leave Kenny, it was like, this is what he wants, and then he can kind of go in peace now. I assume he dies, but if you don't stay with him, I don't know. But to me, it just seemed like the best decision all around.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I was like, this is what Kenny wants. And even in these pleas, Kenny, like when he's talking to us, is like, I don't think I can take care of you and AJ anymore, but they can. Like, please, I need you to be able to survive, kind of thing. That's good enough for me, kind of thing. And I felt like I was like, I can feel good about giving you what you want here, kind of thing. Even though, like, yeah, not being, Kenny having to go back into the wilderness and presumably dying. It sucks,
Not
but
great.
it sucks, but it felt like the right call to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so that's our ending.
Crazy.
Yeah, insane. Ron VJ on Reddit said, I was with Kenny and AJ at the end, so they got to the same spot as us, but said, no, we're leaving with you, Kenny.
Little Sniper on Reddit said, I was alone with AJ. So, yep, must have left Kenny and Jane back there.
Yep. Dead Scorpion on Reddit said, I was with AJ in Wellington, so same as us.
Mm-hmm. SJD on Reddit said, I stayed with Kenny. So, same ending as ours, but went with Kenny instead of staying in Wellington.
Yep. And then lastly, Mamita Lusa on Reddit said, my first time I went with Edith in Wellington. Every other time I stayed with Kenny. So, again, ending up in a kind of our same decision that we were at. So, kind of interesting to see a lot of Team Kenny people.
Yeah,
for our
all about it.
all about it. So that is this episode. So I guess we'll move on lastly to some general thoughts about this episode and maybe some thoughts about the season in general too.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. One thought I had is this episode's really nuts. Just like seeing the whole time Kenny and Jane kind of like when no one else is around with Clementine talking shit, and then seeing Kenny get kind of crazy and Jane egg him on, like, and how it ends it's nuts. I think just the fact that they make you choose at the end to either kill Kenny or, I mean, you don't kill Jane, but you let her die. Very well done.
Yeah, I thought that was really great. Is that, like, they really were building for this climax of what happened. Like, I thought that was great.
Yeah, totally.
One like general thought I had is that I think that season 2 of Walking Dead is really good. I'd kind of forgotten a lot of this season, as we've mentioned throughout some of the episodes, but it really holds its own weight. Like it's a strong season. And it's kind of a shame that it's in like third place of the Walking Dead seasons. Like I like season 1 more. I also like season 4, the final season, more. But it's by no means that season 2 isn't good, and that's why it would be ranked higher if those other 2 seasons weren't so good, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I don't know. I was just kind of surprised by, like, just comparing it to some of the other like episodic series we've played, like Life is Strange. Like, I think season 2 of this is definitely better than like Before the Storm or Life is Strange 2. This is just really strong, but just has 2 other entries in the same series that are better.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was thinking about too. Was I think season 2 is almost as good as season 1, but I think I might like season 2 more than the last season actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and maybe it's a recency bias, but it is really good. Just seeing Kenny go out, he was like the second main guy, I feel like, behind Lee. So it was like a really big deal, I feel like.
It made me want to like keep playing them. Like part of me was like, I want to start a new frontier right away, or just skip to the final season and just play it again, kind of thing. Like this season really had me drawn in. So they did a great job.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, too, one of the main reasons I liked season 1 better is just having Lee and Clementine. That dynamic is really cool. And I think Clementine and Kenny gets sort of close to it, but I think Kenny's just way crazier and has way more problems, so you're almost like babysitting him sometimes. But yeah, I think that's like why it was so close for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. One thing I thought that's interesting is, so I thought that the ending for this game was less emotional than the season 1 ending, because, I don't know, the season 1 ending's like probably one of the emotional endings of any game.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
for sure.
Super rough. But I do think this one might have the better ending. Just that those choices with between Jane and Kenny and their fight, what do you do there, and then how those can go. Like, and specifically, I think of the endings for this season, I think we have the best one, personally, of choosing to leave Kenny and going into Wellington. Because there's, like, sadness, but that glimmer of hope, too. You're like, maybe we're finally safe, but we did lose Kenny. You know, like, it's tough, but, I think that this ending might be better in some ways, even though it's it's less of a gut punch, but I think it might be better.
Yeah, there's layers to it. I feel like there's more than season 1 ending. Yeah, like having to choose: do you save Kenny, then do you abandon him? It's just, there's a lot wrapped up in that. Now, I mean, I guess too, you kind of see this. One of my last points of like general thoughts is the group goes from pretty big to literally no one left, and you kind of see that in season 1, but I think the devastation in season 2 is just larger. Like, everyone dies or leaves except Clementine. And in season 1, I think you had Krista and Omid at the end, and you end up Kenny's still alive. You don't know that, but yeah, it seems like there's way more shit that happens in season 2 as far as like tragedy for the group.
Yeah, that's a good point, because your group just, everyone dies. Everyone you meet, it's like you don't really have a secure group after that. Like season 1, you had a pretty good group that a lot of it made it quite a while, like that kind of thing. Even though you lose Lee, like it still takes till the last episode to lose Ben, or the second to last episode to lose Ben. Like your group was able to be a little more stable a little longer. This group, like, just people are dropping like flies.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The last thing I had was I did some like browsing around on the internet, and apparently season 2 is actually going to be a bit different and a bit darker. So there are a couple highlights from it that I thought were pretty interesting. I guess in the initial season 2 like plan development is they were actually going to have Kenny B. Carver. He was going to be the main villain in season 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which I think would have been pretty crazy. I think I'm glad they didn't do it, because I like Kenny, and I don't think I would want him to be the antagonist because I like him. But the idea is pretty cool. Like, what if he's the bad and you're dealing with him all season as like the bad guy pursuing you? So
yeah, that would have been really crazy and just nuts. Just to have Kenny as the bad guy and it being Clementine.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been so different. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, been so wild. Another thing that was in the original is I guess Mike was going to be one of the scavengers who attacked and killed Krista. Didn't kill Krista maybe, but attacked Krista at the beginning of the game. And so that would have added an interesting layer in this, because we would have known Mike instead of him just being like a guy we meet at Carver's camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also related is there were going to be some Krista flashbacks that, for whatever reason, ultimately didn't make it in either. So that would have been pretty interesting. And then the last big thing is the actual end of this game instead would have been a fight between Kenny and Luke at the very end. And they would have had a fight. But during the fight, Luke would win and he'd kill Kenny, but it would be revealed that Luke had been bitten previous to this. So Clementine would have to put Luke down, and then then Clementine would go off on her own with AJ.
Dude, that's nuts. And maybe a crazier ending than what we got.
Yeah. Yeah, really nuts. So it maybe would have been too dark, but is pretty cool as an idea. Definitely like that, just in terms of being brutal. And so, yeah, that is kind of everything we've got for season 2. So, yeah.
Great season.
Yeah, great season. Really enjoyed it. Excited to play more Walking Dead at some point. Part of me wants to just play A New Frontier right away, but I'm like, I know what, we should just wait and, play other games for a while and then wait, and come back to it later. But this just got me pretty hype. I thought this season was really good and was really fun to relive it, just with how much I'd forgotten.
Yeah, I feel like every episode was like, oh yeah, that happened and this happened and that person gets killed this way. Yeah, a lot of it I just didn't remember, which was nice. It was refreshing. Yeah,
it was. I remembered, of course, like some of the big things in this episode. Like I remembered Luke died, but I didn't exactly remember all the context. And I remembered the showdown between Kenny and Jane too. But I didn't remember how it went down. So I was sort of surprised to find, when we were heading into that part when I was playing, I was like, maybe I'm going to shoot Kenny. I don't know. I wasn't sure. And then it played out.
Yeah.
Then it played out, and it was so easy to be like, no, definitely not. This is totally Jane's fault. Which I was surprised by, because I was trying to go in kind of open-minded and was like, maybe Kenny's got to go. But I felt like the way Jane did that, she got the natural result of it.
Yep. No, not a fan of Jane.
Yeah. Yeah, me either. That was something that I thought I was surprised by too. Is like I felt like I remembered kind of liking Jane when we played previously, but this time around I was like, I'm not a big fan of you. Like you wouldn't really be a good ally.
Yeah, I remember the same thing. She seemed like rivaled Kenny with as far as like how much I liked her, but this time around, yeah, I thought she was kind of cruel and in it for herself the whole time.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting to just see that. I saw Kenny's flaws more too. I was like, yeah, he was pretty rough because I felt like in before I was like, ride or die with Kenny, he's my guy. But Jane's pretty cool. And this time around, I was like, he's my guy, but he's a little crazy, and I don't really like you, Jane. So I was surprised to kind of have that change.
Yeah, same.
Cool. Well, that's season 2 of The Walking Dead. If you've got other thoughts about Walking Dead, please send them our way. We'd love to talk about it. Yeah, I guess that's the episode. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that a few ways. One way is by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed for as little as $1 per month. That will get you access to a monthly bonus episode that we do on topical stuff. Like we ranked the Life is Strange episodes. We talked about our favorite Pokemon, favorite games from childhood, things like that. I feel like we need to do something Walking Dead related in the future now after getting to play 3 of these seasons on the podcast. I feel like that would be a worthy endeavor.
Yeah, definitely. Like some kind of TV show thing.
Yeah, or even like ranking the Walking Dead episodes of the seasons, or I don't know, something like that for the game, or maybe favorite characters. I don't know. Something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. But also, if you'd like to rate and review us on iTunes or Podchaser or wherever you get your podcast, that would be a big help in just getting the word out there. Our Twitter's at StoryEverPod. You can talk with us there. And lastly, you can get our backlog of episodes at TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com or wherever you get your podcast. We do have episodes on Season 1, Season 2, and Season 4. So they're all available. Also, we never spoil forward in any of them, so, that's available. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.